really the goal of development is building long-term relationships with people. You want to, keep them with you. It's easier to sustain a constituent than it is to engage them. There's a lot of energy, a lot more energy into going through the process of acquisition as it is to retention. And so, think again of the marriage analogy. I mean, we spend a lot of energy to secure the relationship, but what kind of energy are we putting into to maintaining it? I'm kind of the master of acronyms because I just want people to remember what it is that I say. And so one of the acronyms that I use is CIA, and for Americans, that's when I go to Russia, and I go to Russia fairly frequently and talk to organizations, and so I just change it to KGB and just trying to change everything. But I just want people to remember it. But in the CIA analogy, each one of those letters represents a word. In the case of C, it's communication. In the case of I, it's involvement. And in the case of A, it's appreciation. And so essentially, sustaining a relationship involves, ongoing communication. It's not like communication stops the moment you say I do. It just begins. And it's an ongoing conversation. And it has, times of joy and pleasantness and times of difficulty and hard. But the reality is that it's an ongoing, conversation that's going on. Involvement with one another. I love my wife. I actually adore her. She's just the most important person of my life, and we just have a wonderful time together. Well, we discovered, that golf was kind of a good thing. I'd been golfing, ever since I was a teenager, and I never was good at it. I kind of learned like everybody else learned golf. I'd just go out and hit a ball like it was a baseball, and then somebody said, "Well, you really don't want to hit it that way," and so by the time I, was playing golf, I had the most awkward swing of anybody. Well, then, a golf course opened up in the community where we live, and Sue said, she'd like to learn how to play golf. And I was excited because I hadn't golfed for a lot of years in between because I really didn't think it was fair, given my travel schedule, to come home on a weekend when that was the only time I was going to be home and go out and spend 4 or 5 hours on the golf course with my buddies. So I just didn't golf. Well, she said, well, maybe this is something we could do in retirement. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, maybe it is. And so she says, let's go take lessons. And we did. Well, she's really, really a good golfer. And I'm still as bad as I was when I was 15 years old. But nonetheless, we go out and we play golf together. And we're involved with one another. And we just really enjoy that. And I don't look at it as a luxury. I look at it as it's just a relationship building thing. And we... it's just extraordinary. So we're involved with one another's lives. I'm in doing this taping in Poland. I was in Bulgaria last week, and I've been away from my wife. I call her at least 3 or 4 times a day. Now I can do that. I couldn't afford to do it years ago, but now with Skype and FaceTime and Google, whatever it's called, Buddies or whatever, I can do Hangout. I can do all kinds of things. And so we just talk on a regular basis. And so communication, involvement, staying engaged with one another and in one another's lives and one another's interests and one another's passions. It's not just golf, it's the passions that we have for ministry and the people that we want to impact and the lives we want to see changed. And then just appreciation. Before I left, I was going to be gone for 10 days, and so I made up 10 little packets with Hershey's Kisses, and she really likes peanut butter and chocolate together, so I put some Reese's kinds of things in them and some jelly beans and just 4 or 5 things, and I put a little note in each one of them and hid all of them around the house. And then every day I send her a clue by a SMS text messaging and saying, well, look here in this place, and so there's a different message. But it's just showing appreciation for the fact that basically if it wasn't for her, my life would be totally different. And so I think the same is true in organizations. We need to spend as much time, as I pointed out earlier, in sustaining a relationship than acquiring it. It's a whole lot easier to retain a person than to acquire, a new client, a new donor, a new friend. And so sustaining them really needs to be an integral part of the overall developmental function.